You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cricket Podcast, where we are talking about the IPL auction. We have covered 5 of the teams and who they need, who they have. We'll be covering the other 5 coming up next. But before we do, just a quick reminder that you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at The Cricket Pod. You should like, subscribe, click bells wherever you are listening or watching, and find us on Patreon, patreon.com/The Cricket Pod for exclusive content. Patreon.com/The Cricket Pod. In the first half, we covered Mumbai Indians. We covered Ahmedabad Bad Boys. I keep getting that wrong. Ahmedabad Boys. We covered Rajasthan Royals. We covered the Sunrisers Hyderabad. And Max, you talked about a team
RCB.
called Royal. Well, I was going to get there. I knew they were
right.
Royal Challengers Bangalore.
Felt like you were stalling.
Imagine if you were covering a team that's playing in the IPL.
Yeah, they wear red.
And I'm going to release you, Max, to talk about another team.
Yeah,
the Chennai Super Kings or the Punjab
Kings.
Kings.
Chennai Super Kings. We're going to kick
the
off
Chennai
with the
Super
winners.
Kings.
Kick off with the winners.
Yes.
Yes. CSK, they've retained pretty well, and they have 48 crore left to spend. They have kept hold of last year's Orange Cap winner, Ruturaj Gaikwad. They have kept hold of last year's legend and every year's legend, MS Dhoni. He's a legend for all years. And they've also kept hold of Moeen Ali and Ravi Jadeja, 2 of the most useful spinning all-rounders in T20 cricket. So they've done pretty well. And yes, spin, tick. All-rounders, tick. So for me, the focus for them, it's got to be in terms of overseas spots. Yes, Ross. Pace, fast bowling. Couple of high quality options and maybe a cheap top level batter, which should be attainable because I think that's where value can be had in terms of auction costs, and that should leave them pretty well set to fill the rest of the squad with not too expensive options. So pace options, what's about? Kahisa Rabada could be a good way to go. He can take death wickets if a little bit expensive. He's up in the first group though, so that's a statement pick. People will have a lot of money to throw around at that point. If they're getting excited, then they could get priced out of that one. So maybe another death option could be Tymor Mills, because I feel like he might sneak under the radar. But I suppose injury worries might hold people back. But yeah, I mean it's got to be pace for me. And perhaps death. Well, they need the death pace and power play pace, but I think power play pace they can get more easily. Perhaps go back to Deepak Chahar, had a good year, and obviously they've got to get back the Lord, because you got to get the gang back together, right? Get the gang back together, get the Lord. But
it's been one of their policies, right? It has been one of their policies to go back to the well. They know what liquid is in that well. They're gonna keep on drinking from that well. Hazelwood will be back, do you reckon, Max?
Hazelwood could well be back. He wouldn't be a bad shout either. He's in that big set that Jack alluded to. I think was it set 5 or set 6 with all the paces. He's in there, so they'll be looking to get something out of that one. I think they want to get a guy from one of those 2 sets, and then I think that's where big money has to go, and the rest they can do. I think reasonably well priced. It'll be good value picks on the batting. They've got Moeen Ali and Ravi Jadeja, so that's like number 3 or 4 and number 6 like sorted. That's 2 really key areas, and they've got a solid opener, so they can fit around those really nicely. And I think
Dhoni, great number 9.
I mean they've got a captain, so they don't need to go in for a captain. That's good. They don't need to spend 20 crore on Shreyas Iyer, so hooray. Yeah, I'm happy for them, and I think they'll be not too stressed as well going into it. There'll be options they can go for, and if they miss out on a couple, it won't be the end of the world. But pace.
Do you reckon they'll go for a Dhoni replacement? So Dhoni's glove work last year wasn't brilliant. His captaincy clearly good. They won the competition, but is there going to be a point where they need to be considering, I don't know, KS Bharat or someone like that, who's the future wicketkeeper of CSK?
We can't put him in the field. Can you? Dhoni, I mean.
No,
Permanent first slip.
But but is there not,
This isn't Sunday Village cricket.
Can you not just put him on the sideline? Can we not like really change the coaching game? Can you know, like in football, the captain's not that important to a football team.
Here's what I think, Ross. I think Dhoni's glove work is really good, but because he wears camouflage gloves, you can't see them.
Okay.
So, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Quinton de Kock there actually, Max, at the top of the order.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that's a stretch. They're not going to.
That'd be a lot of money. That'd be a lot of money to spend.
With de Kock.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of money to spend. I think if they're going to go, if they want to get a wicketkeeper, I think you're more likely to go with someone like Keres Barrett or somebody you can get on the cheap and save the money elsewhere. Because de Kock would be reasonably expensive. So
Hamid Azharuddin.
Yeah, options, all options.
Yeah, we wanted to see some of him last year, but we didn't, did we? Because RCB didn't let us, which is a shame. Right, shall I go? Shall I do a team?
Go for it.
We're going to do the Lucknow Super Giants. We talked about their name. I'm warming to it, actually. I was upset that they called them. I still don't rate the guy, whoever he is, the man in charge of the RSG group. I'm calling him out. But Super Giant has got a nice ring to it. So the Lucknow Super Giants, they have King Legend in the bank, Stoinis in the bank, and Bishnoi in the bank. And by bank, I mean squad of IPL eligible players. Again, I think they're another one of these teams that are all right going into the auction without having everything nailed down. So when I was talking about Mumbai Indians right at the beginning, I was going through that and I was like, that's a pretty good core. There's nothing that they're going to have to spend loads of money on. They can kind of bide their time a little bit. Lucknow Super Giants, they probably are going to have to spend a lot of money on a fast bowler, but they're not going to end up caught in some mad captaincy spend off because they have King Legend. They're not going to have to break the bank getting Shimron Hetmeyer as a hitter down the order because they have Stoinis and Stoinis can kind of do that. Bishnoi, okay spinner, and again they've got him at a pretty fair price, I think, 4 crore. I mean, it's probably what he'd have gone for in the auction. He's decent. He'll bowl you 4 decent overs every game. I think they're all right. In the retention show, we talked about how what you're trying to do when you go to auction with an IPL franchise is effectively fill 11 times 14 places. What's the maths on that? I didn't do this going into the last one, so I'm just going to do that now. 11 times 14 is 154 spots. You have 154 spots to fill over the course of your tournament. They have 33 of those 154 spots, definite bankers in those 3 players. So they're all right. I don't have much more to say on them other than that they're going to have to go in on pot 5. I have a suspicion they might go for 2 overseas fast bowlers, a bit like Delhi last year. If you look at the players they have and compare them to what kind of core of one of last year's teams would be, Bishnoi as a stand-in for Ashwin, maybe. King Legend as a stand-in for Shikhar Dhawan or Prithvi Shaw. And Stoinis as a stand-in for Stoinis. They pick up the
bar. They don't go for Hetmeyer. I really hope they don't
for that. I think they're all right. I don't know. I'm quite interested in what happens with this team because there's the big King Legend question, isn't there? It's if he has a good batting lineup around him, will he therefore bat well himself? Will he be like one of those footballers like Brian McBride back in the day when he had a good Fulham team around him? He looked really good. When he was bad, when the Fulham team was bad.
How have you compared an American striker playing in the Premier League for Fulham to KKR?
About a decade ago, yeah.
That's 2 decades ago, mate, I reckon. last and foremost, maybe 2006.
Well, the point is...
I always think KKR is more of a Landon Donovan myself.
Very good.
Fine, yeah, look, it's... No, I don't think he's a Landon Donovan, because Landon Donovan stepped up his game with bad players, didn't he? He scored loads of goals. Brian McBride was useless unless you had a good team around him, and then he came to life, and he was, technically a pretty excellent footballer. King Legend... Everyone has been saying that he's only been batting badly because of the bad team around him, and that means that he has to bat badly. I'm interested in seeing what they get. I don't have any more analysis, but I am interested.
Okay. Fine.
Ross?
Well, I'm going to move on to Delhi, who you mentioned in there. We said they were the winners of the Best Retainers Award that we went through on the previous show, with Rishabh Pant, Akshar Patel, Prithvi Shaw, and Nokia, Andrik Nokia, replacing. That's pretty good coverage, isn't it, lads? Like they've got the opening berth done, they've got the middle order hitter done with a wicketkeeper, they've got number 8 spin bowling option in Akshar, and you've got an out-and-out pacer who, let's be honest, lit up the tournament last year, right? He was the fastest bowler there, and I think he's
didn't even try bowl fast, did he? Just bowl.
I think it's a really important thing as well. Like when a pacer comes in, and I've got zero evidence to back this hunch up, by the way. But when a pacer comes in, like when Mark Wood comes into the IPL, and I do think Mark Wood will come into the IPL, I think he'll struggle in the first year. I think it takes a year or so for a pace bowler to get accustomed to the IPL, and then their performances go up. Is how I feel about this.
Okay.
But no data.
Sounds like you need to go to our Patreon.com/the cricket pod, download all the ball by ball history for the entire IPL and do some analysis there, Ross.
It does. What do they definitely need? They favoured domestic talent last time, and I don't think there's any reason why they won't be the same here. But with the added sprinkling, with some Australians in the mix because Ricky Ponting's in charge. I think starting with an opening partner for Prithvi Shaw, probably a left-hander. Dave Warner. I've literally got it written down. Won't be surprised if he goes there. They've obviously got to think of matchups as well. So with Akshar in the team, it gives them the opportunity to get in a kind of a batting all-rounder who bowls off spin or serviceable off spin. Maybe
Nathan
someone like not Nathan Lyon. don't think Nathan Lyon's going to be there. Marcus North, however, could be available. Someone like Aidan Markram. I thought he did quite well at Punjab Kings last year, and I think that he's got quite a lot of potential in that kind of batting forward role.
I think someone will go for Markram. I think he'll be quite expensive when he shouldn't be.
Stoinis was their middle order biffer last time. Their recruitment of Hetmeyer, let's be honest, looked like a mistake. I think he won the one game in the time he was there. They need that intent, but their struggle for the last 2 years, they just couldn't get across the line, was their firepower. That was the thing that kind of let them down. They were a really well put together team, just missing that final spark. And then pace wise, I think they'll go back in for Avish Khan, and maybe even take one of the youngsters that Rajasthan Royals bled in as well for that kind of domestic talent. So that's kind of bit I'm kind of thinking of. I also think that off spin role, they're probably going to get Washington Sundar, and I think that'll be a mistake. I don't think his batting's good enough, but him and Akshar Patel could well be a decent lineup for the preceding few years. But again, we'll see what happens there. What do you think, guys?
I think what's good for them is that they don't have to spend big on one player. Basically, they've done their big spending, haven't they? Amrik Norkir's he's a guy who'd be going for tons of money. Same with Pant. So they're good on that front, and they can fill out the rest with people who are going to be reasonably good value. I think so. They just need to choose lucky. Wisely.
If you look at how the sets work, they could quite easily wait until way down the list of players.
There's like I think it's a set like 19 or something. Suddenly got like a bunch of like quite good players. You got like Evan Lewis and Alex Hales and Finn Allen coming in as set 19. You're just like Jofra Archer's set 20. That kind of.
Because you have covered a lot of the bases. You could just wait for that or really pick your moments when you do want to flash the cash, as they say in Delhi.
Yeah. The other option to replace Stoinis is someone like maybe Tim David could well be a target for these guys as well.
I've heard a lot about Tim David. Not convinced.
So well, that's the way it goes, right? But again, some of the other people we mentioned earlier, like Sharat Kard or Mohammed Azharuddin or Deepak Huda, again, domestic talent in that side. I think that's where they're going to focus.
Mac Daddy, do you want to do a team?
Yes, so a team who can't afford to keep their powder dry and wait for a day or so. It's the Punjab Kings, who have kept Mayank Agarwal and Arshdeep Singh. They are the two that they've kept, and that leaves them with 72 crore to spend. So they've got lots of money to spend. That's good, but they literally need everything. They they've got a lot to do. So this is going to be about an auction strategy, because and how they play their hand and how they bide their time. Because I'm not going to go into a list of players they could go for, because they basically need everything except an opening batsman. Arshdeep Singh can bowl some power play overs. He's a decent bowler, but what they're going to need death bowling. They're going to need hitting. They're going to need a lot. So I think they need to get a couple of key wins in quite early in the piece in terms of the auction, which may not actually stand them that well in the long run. But I think if they don't do that, they're going to be playing catch up for most of the rest of the auction, and they're going to be in a place where they could quite easily panic. So
they'll feel the Hessian squeeze, as it will go down in history, won't it?
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, the chaos theory comes into play at this point. So you're looking at, you've got your marquee players up top. I think Rabada or Trent Bolt. Not Trent Bolt. Sorry, because they've got a left arm to open. But yeah, Cummins or Rabada, someone in there up top. They might have to go for, but they're going to be expensive. What they definitely need to do is swerve sets 2 and 3, because they are full of pretty much nonsense. Set 3.
Who's in sets 2 and 3?
Set 2 is Batman. You've got Hetmeyer, David Miller, Padikal, Pandey, Suresh Raina, Jason Roy, Steve Smith, and Robin Uthappa.
Batman. What's Batman?
When's the Robin round?
Yeah.
Robin Uthappa.
Oh, he's in there.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck.
And then following that,
Michael Keaton.
Following that in all rounders,
Padikal and Agarwal opening up would be pretty decent, I think.
Yeah, but the problem there is that.
But they could have had Sharat Khan in the middle and Bishnoi in this team.
I know. This is the thing for them. And then when you look at the all rounders that come up first, you've got a whole lot of guys who are going to go for way more money than they should. We'll probably come to that in a bit. But Jason Holder, we know, is almost certainly going to go for a load of money. You've got Shakib, you've got Dwayne Bravo, you've got Mitch Marsh, who's a perennial con man. Mohammed Nabi's 35. Krunal Pandya, Harshal Patel's going to go for loads of money because he had one good year. There's a lot of stuff that they have to try and navigate. So this is why I think they're in a bit of a tricky spot, because they need to get a couple of big wins in early, but early there's not that much that they can actually go for. So
the way in which you've described it feels to me like they are last in a Mario Kart game. There are so many potential banana skins or oil slicks that they can fall down on, but they do have some opportunities to get some really good players in this space if they go about it in the right way.
They need to get Bullet Bill, and they need to do it fast.
I have absolutely no confidence in them being able to do that. They're
stuffed, aren't they? They're absolutely stuffed.
They're going to spend all their money on whoever had a good big bash, and it's going to be a disaster. Probably pick up David Milan and make him captain. Kolkata Knight Riders. Let's finish off with the Carmen. No one calls them the Carmen except me.
Batman and Carmen.
Batman and Carmen. They retained Andre Russell, Venki Iyer, Sunil Narayan, and Chakravarti, who are 4 decent players, but all have problems. 3, Dre Russ, Narayan, and Chakravarti are pretty injury prone, which isn't ideal. They go back to the idea I was talking about: 154 places to fill. You've retained 3 of your 4 people aren't bankers to fill one of those 154 places. It's a lot of money that you potentially wasted there. Yeah, one is unproven, Venki Iyer. Look, we all like him, but that doesn't mean he'll be good. Sometimes people we don't like are good, like Kevin Peterson. Nobody really liked him, but he was good. I'm not saying he's the opposite of Kevin Peterson, but we have to be realistic and accept that there is a chance that Venki Iyer will turn out to be less good than Kevin Peterson. They've also, and I talked about this with who was it? The Ahmedabad boys.
You got it right that
Got
time.
it right that time. Got it right that time. They have an overseas spinner on that retention list, and another spinner. Now, I think in the market, as it were, the auction pool, one of the places that teams will be going for value, or probably should be looking to go for value, is the domestic spinners market, which is really talented and really deep. They're spending a lot of money on two players that sort of mean they don't have the opportunity now to get a deal there. You know, I'm not knocking Narayan and Chakravarti, they're good bowlers, right? But could they have got players that were very near that level?
Yeah, it's the marginal gains, isn't it? That's the
and giving them a 10 crore difference. Now, who would they have retained instead? Yeah, you have to ask that question. Maybe Lockie Ferguson, something like that. Who knows? What they definitely need to do here is basically build an entire top order batting lineup and get some pace bowlers in, and maybe get some injury cover in as well, which is quite difficult to do. In short, boys, they're fucked.
Now they can. Are
they can. They're fucked. The carburetor's gone. The radiator's leaking everywhere.
They've got an MOT coming up, and it's not looking good.
The GPS has sent them down a one-way system, and they can't get their way out. They're not Ules.
Someone's nicked the catalytic
qualified.
converter.
Yeah, it's all good. Now they can unfuck themselves. Everyone who's ever been to a car auction,
you definitely haven't.
knows that there is value to be had, and this is the IPL. Many people say it has a lot in common with car auctions.
We're going off road here.
Nice, Max. Yeah, so I don't know. It's going to be pretty difficult for them.
Yeah,
I think I wouldn't be surprised if on Saturday night, Sunday, whenever we do the auction recap show, we're saying they haven't got a very good side and they were limited by what they could do. So yeah, that's what I expect. That's what I expect. I expect them to be hamstrung by what they have. Now, look, if Dre, Russ, Iron, Ryan, and Chakravarti all perform to near 70-80% of their ceiling, they'll still have a pretty decent core. But they could also be this year's.
They might be having to spill. They might be basically having to pick 14 players to play a team rather than 11. That's the danger.
Exactly. That's that for teams. Should we wrap up this section of the show, and then we will come back with people we think we're going to go for the most money. I've described that in simple words. Because good words didn't come.
The IPL Millionaire Maker is what we're.
There we go. That'll be a good thing to market. Con men.
Yep.
Who
is stealing a living at the IPL?
And the bargain basement.
And the bargain basement, which is all speculative, but yeah, whatever. Bye.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.